In the middle of the 12th century, the English state collapsed. A vicious war of succession, known as the anarchy, tore the country apart, creating an environment where royal authority vanished and aristocratic loyalty was routinely bought, sold, and betrayed. Caught in the middle of this chaos was a 5-year-old boy named William. His father, a minor nobleman, found himself besieged by King Stephen. To force a surrender, the king took young William hostage and threatened to execute the child by loading him into a trebuchet and firing him at the castle walls. His father refused to yield, famously shouting from the battlements that he still had the hammer and the anvil to forge more sons. William survived only because the king was charmed by the boy's bravery and spared him. This near execution defined the rest of his life. Having been treated as a disposable pawn by his own father, William was sent to Normandy to be raised by his uncle, where he was meticulously trained to value the feudal oath above all personal or familial ties. As the fourth son of a minor baron, William inherited no land and no wealth. Without a family fortune to fall back on, his physical survival depended entirely on his ability to fight. He entered the medieval tournament circuit. These were not the choreographed jousting matches of later centuries, but lethal, chaotic mass melees. William excelled. He defeated and ransomed over 500 opposing knights, turning martial skill into a highly lucrative career and drawing the attention of the royal court. The English monarchy was vulnerable and in desperate need of reliable protectors. William offered a rare combination, a capacity for martial violence, governed by an uncompromising code of personal honor. King Henry II brought William into the royal household and assigned him a critical task: serve as the tutor and personal protector for his eldest son, Henry the Young King. The Angevin court was volatile. When Henry II's younger son, Richard the Lionheart, launched a rebellion against his father in alliance with the French king, William found himself on the battlefield facing the heir to the throne. During a chaotic retreat, William caught the young prince entirely off guard. He leveled his lance, but rather than skewering Richard, he lowered his aim at the last possible second and drove his weapon into the prince's horse. William demonstrated that he had the power to kill the future king, but chose clemency. His loyalty was tied strictly to the continuity of the royal bloodline, not to the pursuit of personal glory or political opportunism. When Henry II died and Richard the Lionheart finally took the crown, the new king had every reason to execute the knight who had humiliated him in combat. Instead, Richard recognized the value of a man who kept his oath. Richard rewarded William by arranging his marriage to Isabel de Clare, a 17-year-old heiress. Overnight, the landless knight acquired immense wealth and the title of Earl of Pembroke. This acquisition of land and wealth transformed William's position. He now controlled massive estates across England, Wales, and Ireland, effectively becoming a foundational political pillar of the English state. William's adherence to his oath would be tested under the reign of Richard's younger brother, King John. John proved to be a paranoid and capricious ruler, systematically alienating the powerful barons who kept his kingdom running. John even turned on William, publicly humiliating him at court and illegally seizing his Irish estates to keep him in line. The rest of the English nobility reached their limit and launched the First Barons' War to overthrow the king. William, despite having every personal grievance to justify joining the rebellion, refused to break his feudal oath. In 1215, the rebel barons forced John to seal the Magna Carta at Runnymede. The document was intended to limit the king's power, but John immediately asked the Pope to annul it, instantly reigniting the civil war. Through all of this, William remained the king's primary military commander. William's decision to stand by a tyrant clarified his ideology. His sacred oath was bound to the institution of the crown and the stability of the realm, not to the flawed man temporarily occupying the throne. In the fall of 1216, the situation became catastrophic. King John died of dysentery. The new king, Henry III, was just 9 years old. A French invasion force controlled half the country, including London, and the English nobility remained fractured. The remaining Loyalist council needed a leader who commanded respect from every faction of the conflict. They unanimously named the 70-year-old William Marshal as Regent of England. In May 1217, William personally led the Loyalist army to break a French siege at Lincoln. Despite his advanced age, he rode at the head of the decisive cavalry charge. This tactical victory decimated the French forces, depriving them of reinforcements and ultimately forcing Prince Louis to abandon his claim to the English throne. The Plantagenet dynasty survived. This is the Magna Carta. In 1217, Regent William Marshal could have seized the throne. Instead, he reissued this charter. The 1215 version was an annulled, failed treaty. By stamping this document with his seal, William embedded the rule of law into English society. William's health failed in the spring of 1219. Fulfilling a vow he made decades earlier while on crusade, he was inducted into the Knights Templar on his deathbed and laid to rest in the Temple Church. He adapted the violent skills of a medieval warrior into the measured restraint of a statesman. By refusing to compromise his integrity, William Marshal ensured the survival of his nation's laws and its crown.